hapa sisi tuendelea kupoteza muda na yule mtoto anaendelea kuteseka kule.
Sisi tunamhitaji zaidi kuliko vile anatuhitaji sisi.
Niko tayari kuchukua hatua ya kulipiza kisasi.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hii ya mwanzo mpya, bonyeza *811*815#.
Usikae hapo na kujihurumia eti kwa sababu ulikosea ama ulianguka. Maisha wakati mwingine utapata umeanguka ama umekosea. Pata mafunzo pale. Unapopata mafunzo, inuka tena. Kung'uta mavumbi, songa mbele. Yaliyopita jamani, si ndwele, ganga yajayo. Maana kuna nguvu katika mwanzo mpya.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hiyo ya mwanzo mpya, bonyeza *811*815#. *811*815#.
Does it make your heart feel good?
Ayub Ogada is regarded as one of the greatest Kenyan artists of all time. While in high school, Ayub composed Kothbiro, an adaptation of a traditional song that would eventually wind up in his album Enmano Kuoyo.
His interest in DJing began at an early age of 13 while listening to some of Kenya's pioneer DJs, and in particular his interest was the veteran DJ Pinye.
Because I love music so much, I don't know when I'll stop. I tried to stop, it backfired.
Happy birthday, DJ Pinye.
The song that we are going to be celebrating today or jamming to today is none other than Unconditional Love by Arrow Boy. This is just the perfect song for February.
Unconditional love, unconditional love, nakupenda unconditionally.
Good evening and welcome to KBC Prime. We're coming to you live in studio from Broadcasting House right here in the capital city, Nairobi. Thank you for joining us. My name is Mboya.
My name is Museo, and welcome to the most watched news broadcast here in Kenya and of course around the world. We have the latest news as they occurred here and around the world.
All that coming up, but first, our headline stories.
We extend this consultation from the deadline of today, and we are pushing it up to the end of March.
Reprieve at last.
You can continue using your NHIF card in private hospitals.
You will not hide.
One arrested over Mandera explosion that claimed 7 lives.
I want to mention KBC, 8%. I think last year we were talking 2 to 3% KBC, if you remember. So there has been a lot of kituo cha baba na mama. There has been a lot of improvement.
KBC, most improved. State television station.
This is according to the latest report by the Media Council of Kenya.
Thank you all for making time to be with us.
At KBC Channel 1 News, at Purity_Museo, at Mboya24, the hashtag is Prime Edition. You can be part of this conversation by interacting with us. We are live on all our social media platforms.
And many thanks indeed for making us grow from 2 to 6%. That story coming up a little later. But first, private hospitals have abandoned plans to deny medical services to National Hospital Insurance Fund card holders.
The hospitals have agreed with NHIF to find a middle ground on some of the contentious issues that had informed the planned action.
And as Ruth Wamboi reports, the agreement comes as a relief to thousands of Kenyans who depend on the cover for services such as dialysis.
The Kenya Association of Private Hospitals had warned that it would stop engaging with the National Hospital Insurance Fund if the current contract is retained as it is. Last week, the association SG Dr. Timothy Olweni said they were in agreement with the current proposals by NHIF. On Monday, the parties agreed to iron out their differences to ensure Kenyans undisrupted access to medical services.
The contracts between NHIF and all service providers will be signed after the 30th of March or 31st of March, because the 31st March has 31 days.
We've reached an agreement. There shall be no halting of services at the private sector. We have given ourselves a moratorium period where we shall be able to review the current payment.
NHIF had revised downwards the amount of money it pays for claims lodged with dialysis and surgical services. Private hospitals had expressed concerns that proposals by NHIF will amount to losses.
We would like to urge the Ministry of Health and NHIF to consider expanding the kidney transplant package, so that most of the patients who are on dialysis can be able to transit to transplant.
If NHIF was to adhere to the people and do what it is supposed to do, the people out there, the money is out there. They make 120 billion disposable. The Kenyans make 120 billion disposable income.
The Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union says the government must equip public hospitals to cushion Kenyans against medical crisis.
Government to actually employ healthcare workers, both the doctors, the nurses, and even the clinical officers, because with that we'll ensure that there'll be services in every part of the country.
Kenyans will start enjoying the new benefits package of NHIF from the 1st of July 2022. Reporting for Prime Edition from the county of Nairobi, I'm Ruth Wamboi.
From Nairobi, let's take you straight to Mandera, where police have arrested one person in connection with the death of 7 people who died on the spot after a passenger van that they were in ran over an explosive in Hagrasu area. That's along the Arabia-Mandera road.
Security officers are also pursuing 2 cars that were ahead of the ill-fated van to explain how they knew that an explosive had been planted on the road for them to dodge it.
Timothy Kipnusu is on that beat.
Scattered belongings and mangled wreckage is what was left of this vehicle after hitting a landmine in Agarso along the Arabia-Mandera highway. The morning incident leaving at least 7 people dead and 13 others nursing injuries.
In total, there are about 13 casualties, the way Chief Officer has said. Those are 3 female. Of this female, there is a 3-year-old girl who got the fracture at tibia fibula. And we are also received 7 bodies.
Area Regional Police Commander Robin Bonet, while confirming the incident, said among the dead are 3 women and 4 men.
Kama mita 200 kutoka kwa patroli ya barabara. Ndio walienda kwa hiyo scene kuangalia. Walipata kuna watu tayari wamekufa na wengine wamekuwa seriously injured. Wengine walitoroka msituni. wakati hiyo marisasi zilipigwa.
The ill-fated vehicle was heading to a market at the time of the incident. Bunei also said police are pursuing occupants of 2 cars that were ahead of the ill-fated vehicle and managed to dodge the explosive.
Sikia kuna gari mbili zilipita, sikaribia ukalvati kayapa, nafikiri kwa sign wameka. So tunataka wale gari mbili zilipita hapo watueleza kwa nini wakupita kwa hiyo mali kwa kalvati. Waliapa tu bianda pandika waingie barabara mbele.
A statement from the police says the anti-terror police unit officers and other multi-agency security personnel are combing the incident area. Timothy Kipnoso for Prime Edition.
Now let's go over to the voter registration situation. And the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, Monday commenced the enhanced voter registration exercise in the diaspora, beginning with the United Arab Emirates.
Canada will be next stop on Tuesday. Meanwhile, the Commission has registered 548,188 new voters in the second phase of the enhanced continuous voter registration exercise against a target of slightly over 2.9 million. The exercise is in its third and last week.
With the second phase of Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission enhanced continuous voter registration exercise, the electoral body is far from hitting its target 1 week to the deadline. The electoral body has managed a quarter of its proposed target of close to 3 million by registering 548,000 new voters in the last 2 weeks.
We registered over 500,000 Kenyans. Which is a better, we have done better than last week.
Nairobi County leads the pack with a total of registered new voters of 49,746, followed by Kiambu at 26,544. Isiolo and Lamu counties have the lowest voter registration number at 2,384 and 1,860 respectively.
Today being the last week, day 1 of voter verification exercise, we have registered like about 25 voters, and we expect the number to increase since it's the last week. The number to increase throughout the week, I mean.
The chance is now to just register now so that you can express your by voting.
IEBC has, however, ruled out any extension of the exercise, which ends on the 6th of February 2022.
Please take advantage of this last week. And register. If you have an ID card, go and register so that you can be able to elect leaders of your choice.
The electoral body has on Monday kicked off the enhanced continuous voter registration exercise in the United Arab Emirates at the Kenya Embassy in Abu Dhabi and Kenya Consulate in Dubai. In Canada, the exercise will start on Tuesday.
On to that feel-good story. The Kenya Broadcasting Corporation television viewership has improved by over 6% over the last 1 year. That's according to the 2021 State of the Media Survey report released by the Media Council of Kenya.
According to the report, the most watched content on television includes news, entertainment, religious productions, and sports.
Kam Chemeza reports with a smile on her face.
2021 survey by the Media Council of Kenya on public perception on media and performance has placed KBC Channel 1 as most improved in viewership.
I want to mention KBC, 8%. I think last year we were talking 2 to 3% KBC, if you remember. So there has been a lot of kituo cha baba na mama. There has been a lot of improvement.
KBC now ranks among top 8 most preferred channels in Kenya. 3,589 respondents from 47 counties were interviewed during the research, which was conducted between November and December 2021. According to the survey, 58% of Kenyans interviewed consume TV content on a typical day, a drop from 74% in 2020. The survey also shows that media trust among the public has slightly dropped. Speaking during the launch of the report, Broadcasting and Telecommunication Principal Secretary Esther Koimet challenged the media industry to remain apolitical in its coverage of news so as to build public trust.
This is a worrying trend, as the media is entrusted by the public to provide accurate information across all spheres.
12% of the respondents expressed having concern with media, citing issues such as little coverage on matters affecting rural areas, too much politics, and biased content coverage.
I therefore throw a challenge to the media fraternity in Kenya to come up with innovative ways that will aid in enhancing public trust in the media.
It is a big challenge for media to remain professional in such a polarized election like this one. But your hands are not tied, and it is not against media freedom to refuse to speak the language of the politicians to the people.
2019, 11, 2020 was bad, 14%. 2021 is an improvement. Only 12% have issues.
The report also said media freedom in Kenya has improved from position 103 last year to 102 this year globally. Kamchemenza for Prime Edition.
Thank you all to our esteemed viewers for making us grow. You are simply the best.
As always, Kenya's watching.
That's true. I like that smile. Well, let's move on to the world of politics now. Plans are underway to have affiliate parties under the Azimio la Umoja umbrella field single candidates for various positions in the August poll.
ODM Deputy Party Leader and Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya says aspirants under the alliance will meet and thrash out modalities that will realize the plan.
Achola Simon puts that story into perspective for us.
Delegates under the Azimio la Umoja affiliate parties drawn from Western Kenya converged in Kakamega town as they continue to craft ways of whipping the region under the Azimio la Umoja umbrella.
Na kuhakikishia kwamba sisi zote katika Western Kenya tuko katika Azimio, na saa 4 mtu ukiwa na kalamu yako uandike mbunge ama MCA atakayekuwa na tikiti ya Azimio saa 4 atakuwa ashachaguliwa. Na nataka tukitoka hapa siku ya leo tukirudi mashinani tuende tuambie watu wetu liwe ni walo mwezi wa 8 tunapigia Raila Amolo Odinga kura ya kuingia State House.
Nyinyi ndio mmetembea na baba Raila Amolo Odinga. Nyinyi ndio mmefanya tukaingia ndani ya hii nyumba. Musijaribu kupoteza network na watu wanatuuza na kama njugu karanga. Watu wanapenda pesa.
It is from the forum that it emerged that the alliance was contemplating fielding a single candidate for each position in the coming general elections.
Jumatatu, all aspirants wa Azimio, ukiwa unataka MCA, unataka kuwa MP, unataka kuwa governor, unataka kuwa senator, unataka kuwa woman rep, chini ya Azimio tutakutana hapa Kakamega.
ODM Deputy Party Leader Wycliffe Oparanya said a meeting with all aspirants had been scheduled in a week's time to devise modalities that will ensure little or no acrimony arises from the proposed joint nominations or consensus.
Kwa sababu tumeamua tuwe na kamati ndogo ambayo itaongea na hawa watu. Tuwe na masikizano. Hatutaki tulumbane. Kila position tuwe na mtu mmoja wa Azimio.
At the delegates forum, the leaders re-emphasized the need for the region to vote as a bloc in the coming general election.
In Kenya, sisi ndio number 2 kwa population kwa kila kitu. We are number 2. Lakini wakati mali inagawanywa katika hiyo meza sisi hatupo. We are not there kwa sababu kila wakati kura ikifika tunakuwa disorganized.
Mimi nitatembea na Raila kwa sababu ya kitu kimoja kubwa. Being the biggest defender of devolution in this country. Yeye kama angepigana na kusimama, mimi singekuwa nimesimama hama kama gavana wa jimbo la Mboya.
choice to me is as clear as night and day. If we want devolution to be protected, the champion of devolution is none other than Raila Amolo Odinga.
They lashed out at the ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi and his Ford Kenya counterpart Moses Masika Wetangula for throwing their support behind Kenya Kwanza Alliance. The meeting coming even as ODM leader Raila Odinga is scheduled to hold a 2-day Meet the People tour in Busia and Bungoma counties from Thursday. Achola Simon, Prime Edition, Kakamega County.
Now, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, has clarified that political parties have until the end of March to submit their membership lists to the Registrar of Political Parties. This is contrary to a Gazette notice issued by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, giving April 9th as the deadline.
Muturi said that the newly enacted political parties law allows political parties to file their membership list by the end of March.
Speaking after meeting opinion leaders from Thika and Murang'a counties, Speaker Justin Muturi maintained that under the new law, party membership lists should be submitted to the Registrar of Political Parties 14 days before they are submitted to IEBC, which should be around March 26th.
But in that law, there is the provision that party membership lists be submitted to the Registrar of Political Parties at least 14 days before they are submitted to the IEBC.
Muturi was demystifying the confusion that has been there as to whether parties should submit the lists on February 9th, when government officers seeking elective seats are supposed to have resigned.
The Registrar of Political Parties is the one who is mandated by law to certify the party membership lists of all the political parties. Once they do that, now each party will be given their certified copies, true copies of their membership lists, which they can now onward transmit to the IEBC before the 9th.
He made the remarks as political parties across the country continue to race against time to put their houses in order ahead of the August 9th national elections.
Now, the former National Social Security Fund investment manager, Francis Zuriel Muturi, has been fined 2.4 billion with a B, shillings, or a 12-year prison term for defrauding the pension fund. 3 other former employees of NSSF, David Murungi Githaiga, Isaac Nyakundi Nyamongo, and Wilfred Weru, have also been fined 803 million with an M, shillings each, or they face 12 years each in prison. The Discount Securities Limited will pay a fine of 4 billion, there's a B there, shillings.
The 4 NSSF officers had been convicted on different counts after being found culpable of the loss of pensioners' fund amounting to 1.2 billion shillings have been sentenced by Chief Magistrate Lawrence Mugambi. Former investment manager National Social Security Fund Francis Zuriel Muturi, who is said to be turning 72 years old, will have to pay a mandatory fine of 2.4 billion shillings and in default serve a total of 12 years.
Although it is not evident or was not demonstrated that the first accused received quantifiable benefit, it was crystal clear that through its actions, NSSF lost a staggering 1,201,143,372 shillings and 40 cents. In this case, therefore, the first accused is liable to a fine of Kenya shillings 2,402,286,744.80 cents. In default, first accused shall serve 9 years imprisonment, right of appeal 14 days.
His counterparts David Morongo Githaiga, Isaac Nyakundi Nyamongo and Wilfred Weru will pay a fine of 803 million shillings each and in default each serve a total of 12 years in prison.
I further make orders as subject to section 64 subsection 1. None of the accused persons may be appointed or elected into public office for the next 10 years.
The Discount Securities Limited will pay a fine of 4 billion shillings. The accused were convicted and sentenced on separate offences, among them deceiving principal, failure to comply with applicable procedures and guidelines relating to procurement of property, neglect of official duty by public offices contrary to the law, fraudulent acquisitions of public property, and conspiracy to defraud. An application to have Francis Zuriel Moturi, who is 72 years and believed to be ailing, taken for medical checkup before mitigation and sentencing, was dismissed. They now have 14 days to appeal against the sentencing. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.
Television.
Well, we're thrilled you could join us. That story brings us to our first break right here on KBC Prime Edition.
The most watched television station, that's according to MCK, in the year 2021.
That's right. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Beacon Furnitures Limited. We're local manufacturers of quality office furniture, dealers in quality office equipment like fireproof safes and cabinets. Our automated state-of-the-art factories at Henna House along Enterprise Road in Nairobi's industrial area. Our showroom is at Uniafrica House, Koinange Lane off Koinange Street. We are passionate believers in locally manufactured goods. When you and I buy locally made furniture, we impact on the livelihoods of our brothers and sisters. For orders, visit our showroom at Uniafrica House, Koinange Lane off Koinange Street. Beacon Furnitures Limited. Jenga Kenya to Pate Ajira.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime Edition this Monday, the last Monday of this month of January. 46 people have tested positive for COVID-19 in Kenya from a sample size of 2,324 tested in the last 24 hours. The positivity rate is now at 2%. 3 patients have succumbed to the disease, one of them in the last 24 hours, while the other 2 are late deaths reported after conducting facility record audits in the month of January 2022, and 12.2 million vaccines have been administered across the country. 6.5 million are partially vaccinated, while those fully vaccinated are slightly 5.5 million. In other news, police from Tigoni Police Station in Limuru, Kiambu County have seized a hit-and-run car that killed a Form 4 student in Ndeya village 2 weeks ago. According to the Tigoni Police Station Traffic Commander George Onsonko, they were unable to identify the car even after it underwent modifications after the accident. More of this in our county news roundup.
The owner of the car, together with his son, a Form 4 student who is said to have been driving the car at the time of the accident, were arrested and charged in a Limuru court, where they were freed at a cash bail of 10,000 and 100,000 shillings respectively.
Sasa tukapata yule ambaye alikuwa na gari aligonga huyo mwanafunzi akatoroka, tukaweza tukashika, tukamleta station. Pia tukaendelea na uchunguzi zaidi ya hapo, tukapata papa yake, tukashika yeye, tukamleta hapa station.
Elsewhere, nominated MCA in Makueni County, Mbula Mutula, has partnered with Kenya Red Cross Makueni branch to distribute out sanitary towels to young girls in a bid to keep them in schools. Speaking in Kambi Mawe High School, Mbula asked the well-wishers to come out in large numbers and save the girls who miss schools due to lack of sanitary pads.
Some of our young girls, some of them are dropping in school because of such problems. Others cannot even explain why they drop, but it's something that can make them end up being in stigma. So that is a problem of the girl child.
In other news, Kipsigi's Council of Elders have urged the politicians to refrain from utterances which might distort peace among Kenyans. Through their chair, Andrew Malakwen, the elders have urged the community members to uphold the right culture and avoid the decaying norms.
To restrain from inciting the youth in particular and any other members of the community to violence. We wish them the best as they campaign.
Finally, residents of the Moto area in Kuresoi North have expressed concern over a 25-foot open mine along the Molo Olengurone Road. The residents claim boda operator was among the latest victim after falling into the ditch.
Kwa sababu ni risk na watoto wetu wanapitia hapo, magari yapitia hapo, nduthi zinapita, watu wa mguu. Kwa hivyo tunaomba izibwe ama tuchukue madhege.
Serikali ingilie juu hii ni shimo hatari sana. Inaweza leta maafa mabaya sana. So serikali ingilie na mwenye kware aingilie hiyo shimo iondolewe.
A progressive item here now. Culture and Sports Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed says that a ministry is working on modalities to ensure communities patent their indigenous ideas. Speaking at a workshop in Mombasa, Amina said that it is unfortunate that local concepts are being patented by foreigners, denying domicile communities a share of their birthright.
The forum taking place in Mombasa aims at offering a unique opportunity for national discourse on harnessing indigenous knowledge and genetic resources as a new growth area of the economy. Addressing participants, Sports and Culture Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed says there is need for a policy to ensure communities benefit from their cultural products.
Kwa hivyo tukiongea pamoja, tukikubaliana, tunaweza kufanya kazi pamoja, tuweke zile sharti ambazo zinahitajika hapa nchini na lakini pia ulimwenguni, kuwawezesha wale ambao ni practitioners waweze kuendeleza hiyo kazi wakijua kwamba ile dhamani ambayo inayo inaweza kutumika na kwamba hizi products ambazo wanazo itazalisha faida fulani.
To achieve this, the CS noted that there is need for operationalization of Protection of Traditional Knowledge and Cultural Expressions Act 2016, which paves way for identifying, protecting and prioritizing indigenous knowledge associated assets earmarked for value addition for the marketplace.
Furthermore, the ministry is initiating the rollout of indigenous knowledge documentation and digitization as a pilot program in 13 counties to establish community and county digital registers and a national digital repository of indigenous knowledge associated assets.
Amina said the ministry is committed to spurring investment in the indigenous knowledge and genetic resources subsector achieved, and that Kenya is making a steady progress in terms of domesticating the Nagoya Protocol on equitable sharing of benefits arising from authorized access and sustainable utilization of indigenous resources. On matters health, Chief Administrative Secretary Rashid Aman said the ministry is preparing a draft bill on traditional medicine that will be out for public and stakeholder participation. For Prime Edition from Mombasa County, I'm Michael Mondiga.
Thank you, Michael. And every other Monday, we bring you the Cabinets, a segment that highlights the men and women who have served in the cabinet since Kenya became independent. Tonight, though, the focus shifts a little to focus on the founding president, Jomo Kenyatta. Take a look.
Born
Born Kamau Wangengi sometime between 1889 and 1895 in Gatundu, Kiambu district, he later changed his name to Jomo Kenyatta. Thanks to his good command of English, he became the secretary of Kikuyu Central Association in 1924. In 1947, Kenyatta took over the presidency of Kenya African Union after James Gishuru stepped down in his favor. In October 1952, Kenyatta, alongside 5 cow leaders Bildad Kagia, Fred Kubai, Paul Ngei, Acheng Oneko, and Kongo Karumba, was detained in Kapengure and charged with involvement in the Mau Mau uprising.
My leadership has not been to darkness and death, but to light and prosperity.
On 8 April 1953, Kenyatta and the rest of the Kapenguria 6 were sentenced to 7 years in prison. Kenyatta was elected in absentia as the president of Kenya African National Union, KANU. KANU won the January 1961 elections but declined to form a government until Kenyatta was released. Upon Kenyatta's release in August 1961, James Gishuru stepped down for him as the president of KANU.
Harambee! Na mashamba yetu harambee! Na mifugo yetu harambee! Na serikali yetu tukufu harambee!
He also joined the LegCo as the member of Fort Hall, Murang'a constituency after Kariuki Njeri stepped down for him. In 1962, Kenyatta attended the Second Lancaster House Conference in London to discuss constitutional amendments.
What we have been struggling for is to redeem our country from the yoke of colonialism and imperialism, and to be able to build a Kenya that Africans can be proud of.
On 1st June 1963, Kenya attained internal self-government Madaraka, and Kenyatta became the Prime Minister. On 12 December 1964, Kenya became a republic with Kenyatta assuming the first president. In 1964, KADU and the African People's Party joined KANU through the efforts of Kenyatta. Kenyatta's motto was Uhuru na Kazi, independence and hard work, and his clarion call was against poverty, ignorance, and diseases. In 1977, the aging Kenyatta suffered a mild heart attack, and on 22nd August 1978, he died peacefully in his sleep in Mombasa. Mzee Jomo Kenyatta remains were interred at a mausoleum at Parliament Building, Nairobi. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
And welcome back. Time for a second break.
That's right. And when we come back, Cynthia Nyamai will be driving the business agenda.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
ojos divididos por una sombra de traición.
You're being pathetic, Santiago. I don't know why you're so jealous of your brother.
No, Father, I'm not jealous of my brother. If I'm telling you I want her to leave, it's because I have good reasons.
Hey, be careful with what you're about to say.
But the one thing I can't understand is why is everybody so crazy about that crass girl? Even my foolish brother.
Just think that in the long run, if you didn't break up with her, you would have hurt her worse, and you would have hurt yourself as well.
So what if I did? So do you want her to find out what went on between us? She might end up committing suicide.
Oh, come on, why would you do that?
Well, she is intense just like you.
Lying heart. Fue sembrando el veneno y la ambición.
Welcome to Business. I am Cynthia Nyamai. Now, the Capital Market Authority is working on establishing different classes of counters in order to lure enterprises whose founders or owners are not keen on losing share control of their businesses. This will be through allowing listing of such shares, but not allowing the founders to vote on crucial decisions.
In the proposed dual-class share structure, the Capital Markets Authority says companies will be able to seek finance for their companies without necessarily losing their decision-making rights in a business. Capital Markets Authority CEO Wycliffe Shamia says the structure is based on research of similar provisions in developed countries which have proven successful.
This would be then what can be issued for people to participate in if the issue is around I don't want to offload most of the shares I own because I can lose control and, of course, the right of making decision as the anchor shareholder or the main shareholder.
From a perception point by the founders or the family, they were most of them that we have engaged with in Kenya, they actually would want to own as much as 95% or none at all, or everything, so that it means you give a class of shares that has no voting rights.
Under the draft rule, such companies would be required to make the arrangement clear when listing shares in order for prospective shareholders to make informed decisions. Such companies will therefore be able to issue an IPO, raise funds for business and share profits thereafter without losing their anchor shares.
That have created a class of share that has no voting right. So for a family company that may have some concerns around letting go of their company, they can still be able to raise money without that worry about losing control.
To attract more companies as well as investors to Kenya's capital markets, the Capital Market Authority is considering revision of some provisions.
So once you put that money in the company, that money is for a certain project. Put it in construction, put it in, put it in construction. So you build houses, you sell, and then it's a company. So for you who has invested, you just be getting your dividends the way any other person gets because of the money you'll have raised has been invested in a particular project.
With the new provisions, the CMA hopes that the economy will remain stable. Reporting for Prime Edition, my name is Ibak Said.
Now, Kenya should consider both chemical and organic methods of agricultural production. A Hungarian delegation to Kenya who toured Twiga Chemical said, with a decreasing farmland and harsh weather patterns, there is a need for a hybrid innovation system to increase food production and lower Kenya's food bill export.
Hungary is seeking to leverage on Kenya's quest to add 1 million hectares of new farmland and invest in the sector through sales of modern farming technologies. The investments are part of a 10.8 billion shillings fund that enterprises from the European nation will invest in Kenya. However, the Hungarian government says agriculture can only be profitable if a hybrid solution that incorporates the use of appropriate chemicals such as fertilizer and organic farming for agricultural production. The hybrid system is backed to minimize the impact of climate change to the agriculture sector.
When we negotiated the Sustainable Development Goals, we ran into some very difficult brain tweezers. One of them was how to produce more healthier food for a growing population with a decreasing amount of water on a land that cannot be expanded.
They are calling on the government to increase investment in the agriculture sector to reduce the country's food export bill.
Amount of land producing more, feeding more people, and all it is made in a way that is economically viable and financially sustainable.
According to the Kenya Bureau of Statistics, Kenya, as at the end of last year, spent 155.42 billion shillings on food imports, representing a 21% increase from the previous year. Benson Rioba reporting for Lunchtime News.
Top CEOs in Kenya are optimistic about business growth this year, largely driven by services sector, improved consumer demand, lower inflation and easing of the COVID-19 restrictions. This is according to a survey by Central Bank, which however indicates that the business leaders are concerned that increased political activity, COVID-19 risks and also risk in input costs could slow down business growth.
The Monetary Policy Committee surveyed opinions about expectations about inflation, the economy, lending rates, level of operations by companies, and private sector credit growth. CEOs told the central bank that they are optimistic that businesses will grow this year, anchored by improved consumer demand, lower inflation, and the lifting of the COVID-19 restrictions. The business leaders said there was an improvement in business activity, highlighted by growth in sales on the account of strong business prospects, especially for professional services, spillovers of some sales from last 3 months of last year, and increasing business opportunities in the region. However, the top CEOs are concerned that business growth may slow on account of COVID-19 risk, increased political activity ahead of the August polls, and global supply chain disruptions. Business leaders in the agriculture and manufacturing sectors are concerned over the rising inputs cost, which they expect to persist, especially from imports where supply chain constraints will continue. Even though they are expecting political stability around this year's general election, the CEOs fear that increased political activity could lead to scaling down of operations as businesses adopt a wait-and-see approach to investments. The top CEOs expect to mitigate constraints in the economic environment by managing cost and risk, diversifying their businesses, and digitizing their operations. Reporting for Prime Edition, I am Teresa Mutai.
The rate of inflation slowed to a 14-month low of 5.39% this month due to double-digit reduction in the cost of electricity. This is according to the latest data from the Kenya Bureau of Statistics, which indicates that the government's directive to have the cost of electricity reduced by 15% had a huge impact in reducing the cost of living this month.
The government in October last year announced that the retail cost of electricity will reduce by 15% in December. This was actualized with Kenya Power announcing that it had effected the changes. This has been captured by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics data, which indicates that this month the cost of electricity reduced by 15.7%, which helped to slow the rate of inflation, given the impact of electricity on other sectors. The KNBS data further indicates that this month there were also notable reductions in the cost of mangoes, tomatoes and carrots. There were also notable increases in maize flour, skuma wiki, spinach, Irish potatoes, onions, cabbages, wheat flour and house rent for single rooms. However, the prices increases were not big enough to offset the price reduction in some of the surveyed products, which saw the rate of inflation slow to a 14-month of 5.39% this month, down from 5.73% last month. Year-on-year, KNBS Director General MacDonald Obudo says prices of food items this month were relatively high when compared the situation during a similar month last year. The KNBS data shows that food and non-alcoholic beverages index increased by 1.07% month-on-month and 8.89% on a year-on-year basis. Alanauko, Prime Edition.
The price of property in Nairobi increased by 3% during the last 3 months, lifted by higher demand for detached houses that are in the short supply. This is according to the latest Haas Property Index, which indicates demand for detached houses has increased 9 times over the last 2 decades.
The last 3 months of last year, there was a shift in demand for houses that saw an increase in demand for detached houses. Sekina Hassan Ali, head of development consulting and research at Haas Consult, says over the last 2 decades, we have seen the property market composition significantly change, whereas slightly more than half of the advertised properties were detached houses in 2001. Today, they make up around 9.5% of the market, and this limited supply of units is sustaining buyer demand and prices. In the latest report by Haas Consult, asking prices across all properties moderately increased by 3% over the last 3 months of last year and 3.1% over the year. Rental apartment prices went up by 5.5% in Ngong, resulting in a 3.5% increase on returns, while rental prices for houses in Ruiru went up by 14%. The report indicates that Kilimani suburb, which has traditionally been a high-end family-oriented residential area with ample apartments, is now attracting investors, putting highly dense units, including studio apartments. Haas Consult notes that the Kilimani suburb continues to cool as investors go slow on the area due to uncertainty on whether the present infrastructure will support the new wave of developments the area is now attracting, thus weakening its appeal. The report indicates that Spring Valley was the best performing suburb, with land prices rising 5.6%, while Kisarian topped the towns with land prices increasing by 5.2%. Donholm saw prices drop by 2.7% over the quarter, while in the towns of Limuru, saw prices reduced by 2.34%. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
Well, that's it for business. Up next, sports with Karen Kibet.
Does it make your heart feel good?
Ayub Ogada is regarded as one of the greatest Kenyan artists of all time. While in high school, Ayub composed Kothbiro, an adaptation of a traditional song that would eventually wind up in his album Enmano Kuoyo.
His interest in DJing began at an early age of 13 while listening to some of Kenya's pioneer DJs, and in particular his interest was the veteran DJ Pinye.
Because I love music so much, I don't know when I'll stop. I tried to stop, it backfired.
Happy birthday, DJ Pinye.
The song that we are going to be celebrating today or jamming to today is none other than Unconditional Love by Arrow Boy. This is just the perfect song for February.
Unconditional love, unconditional love, nakupenda unconditionally.
Welcome back. My name is Karen Kibet. Let's get sporty. Now, the Cricket Kenya Independent Election Panel will begin the verification process for aspirants on 16th of next month ahead of the general elections slated for 26th same month. Led by the panel chairperson, Professor Kenneth Mutuma, the panel will receive nomination papers not later than 15th of February.
Formation of a normalization committee by Sports Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Amina Mohammed. Attention has been put on the Federation's general elections that are set to be held on 26th of next month at Kasarani Stadium. The independent election panel that will be oversee the elections has set 16th Feb be the date for verification of aspirants and will not receive nomination papers after 15th of same month.
The normalization committee shall forward to the independent electoral panel the members list, which will contain the members who will have fulfilled the application requirements by 15th of February 2022. This is therefore to call upon the county cricket associations and cricket professional groups who have been registered by the sports registrar to apply for membership and associate membership of Cricket Kenya.
It's important that we communicate that in that window of 2 days, the 17th of February 2022 is the last date that we will be receiving nomination papers.
Various positions will be up for grabs, including the chairperson's position, the vice chairperson, treasurer, and development director, among others. Frederick Moki for Prime Edition.
Thank you, Moki, for that report. Moving on, range safety officers have completed a 2-day training on international standards, qualification of the game, match ratings, match points and rules as the country is preparing to host the Kenya Open Shooting Tournament on the 18th and 19th of June this year. Kenya secured the hosting rights after receiving approval from the International Practical Shooting Confederation, with more than 15 countries having already shown interest in the competition. The trained range safety officers are set to be deployed for the league games as well as a level 3 IPSC event to be held this year. Peter Maritim was the winner of the 7th leg of the Road to Glen Eagles Johnny Walker Golf Series at the Eldoret Sports Club over the weekend as he scooped the award for the men's category after he carded 46 points. His closest competitor, Franklin Kipiator, posted 41 points to claim the runner-up position. In the ladies category, Mani Sago's 39 points were enough for her to claim the top spot, one better than Irene Brooker, who carded 38 points. Following the event, the Eldoret event, focus now shifts to Kericho Golf Club for the 8th leg of the series set to be played on 19th February. The top 3 winning teams join the list of players that will proceed to the next round of the series, dubbed the Eagles round, to be played in Muthaiga, and finally the series grand finale to be played in May 2022.
Having interacted with many golfers at all number 19, personally I'm happy and I want to really appreciate and to also appreciate the other golfers who have turned up to come and play this competition.
The course was
playing well. We did some good work to ensure that the greens were in fantastic condition. The greens, the fairways benefited a lot from the rains the last few days. And I think most of the golfers really enjoyed their outing in Eldoret.
On to St. Martin's basketball. Former champions KPA will take on Equity in the men's semi-finals of the Kenya Basketball Premier League playoffs. Equity saw off a resilient University of Nairobi Terra in the quarterfinals to book a slot in the last four. Defending champions Ulinzi Warriors will face Strathmore University in the semi-finals after trouncing Kisumu Lakeside in the last 8. In the women's semi-finals, KPA will face Storms, while defending champions Equity will take on Z-Tech. Game 1 and Game 2 of the semi-finals will be played next weekend at the Nyayo National Stadium Gymnasium. Mohamed Salah scored 1 goal and set up the other as Egypt beat Morocco 2-1 in the extra time in the Africa Cup of Nations quarterfinals. Meanwhile, Senegal overcame Equatorial Guinea 3-1 to set up an AFCON semi-final against Burkina Faso.
Morocco bowed out of the African Cup of Nations after losing 2-1 to Egypt. Meanwhile,
goals. Now finally, Rafael Nadal won a record 21st Grand Slam men's title in the most stunning way, fighting back from 2 sets down to beat Russia's Daniil in the Australian Open final. Backed by a loud Melbourne crowd, Nadal won 2-6, 6-7, 6-4, 6-4, 7-5 on Rod Laver Arena.
Rafael Nadal is the 2022 Australian Open champion.
And Barclay's report brings us to the end of the sports news tonight. I'll see you tomorrow with more sports news. Have yourself a peaceful night. My name is Karen Kibet. I hand you back to Tom and Purity for more.
Congratulations to Rafa and Nadal.
Thank you so much, Marakwet Express, for wrapping it up because it's 10 o'clock. We have to wrap it up. Thank you. Thank you for your company. It's been a great pleasure having you tune in this Monday night for Prime Edition. I'm Purity Museo. Keep watching KBC.
And my name is Mboya. Let's see you tomorrow again. Same place, same time. Good night. Bye-bye.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hii ya Bariki mpiga simu, bonyeza *811 *963#.
Baraka zinapowaendea watu, Mungu ninakuomba umbariki huyu ambaye anapiga simu, umbariki na hata umuinue, umfungulie njia yake, aende ainuliwe na kuwe mtu ambaye ni wa kuinuliwa. Ninapoenda kuipokea, Mungu fika mbele yake.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hiyo ya Bariki mpiga simu, bonyeza *811 *963#. *811 *963#.
Mundos divididos por una sombra de traición.